Our next guest, a sports world legend, making the case for stricter regulations for betting on pro sports. I want to welcome sports agent Leigh Steinberg, known as the inspiration for the film Jerry Maguire. For 50 years, the philanthropist and best-selling author has repped marquee athletes like Troy Aikman, Manny Ramirez, Patrick Mahomes, just to name a few. Good morning to you. Let's talk about gambling, sports gambling, and your views of it and how you think it's changing the game, what should happen.
I think it's the existential threat to professional and collegiate sports, because the whole business of sports rests on the premise that games are played on an even playing field, that both parties are trying as hard as they can, and that what you're seeing is an actual contest, not an exhibition like wrestling. And the impregnable wall that existed between gambling and sports for most of the 50 years I've been representing athletes has now eroded. It's gone. And we have NFL owners owning part of DraftKings and gambling sites. We have Las Vegas, which never was going to have teams, all of a sudden is a sports center. And we've seen the problem, which is that if the perception is that an athlete shaves performance or is revealing inside information to bettors, or an athlete gets in financial problems with a bookie and is tempted to shave performance, all of a sudden that rocks the foundation of people's attraction to the sports. And we've seen so many incidents lately, a baseball player banned for life, Jonte Porter, who goes to a gambler and tells him exactly when he's going to leave early from a game. And there's a thing called a prop bet, which allows you to bet on virtually anything over the course of a game. So if the gambler has inside information that this player is not going to be playing, or is going to come out of a game early, or will be shaving performance, and places a big bet on the over or the under, then all of a sudden we have problems. And this is unintended consequences.
So if you were the commissioners of these leagues, you would ban it outright? You would? Is there some way to have your cake and eat it too?
Well, I think that players, frankly, need to be talked to when they are in high school, college, entering the pros, and the pros in every institution involved in that, from local high school organizations to conferences to players associations to the leagues themselves, needs to constantly be emphasizing to players that they shouldn't be betting on sports. Right now, they can bet on a sport other than their own. And the other consequence of this is that with the ubiquitous nature of the advertising that's going on, which is nonstop on sporting events for gambling sites, we're going to create a whole new generation of gambling addicts. And it is an addiction. So I think there needs to be much more thought given into how to separate the world of competitive sports from the gambling.
I'm worried. I don't know if you are. The train seems like it's left the station on this, though. And that's sort of the issue. For the valuations of all these teams to make any logical sense anymore, the gambling becomes a key component of it all, because that's what's also helping to engage fans in a way, frankly, that as the media industry and others fragment, they're trying to keep people involved. This is one of those ways. You remove the gambling component, and I think that there's a lot of questions about how much money everybody's going to have at the end of the day. And for the players, that becomes a real issue, no? If you were representing them as their agent?
Yes. I'm not talking about fans betting. Betting's been with us forever in our culture, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm talking about the participants or coaches in the sport. And we've recently seen a number of different situations that look a little compromising. The fans can bet their hearts out, but you don't want someone who's an athlete getting into gambling debt owing a bookie, looking for a way to pay him back that involves shading performance or coming out of a game early or or giving inside information. So again, let's delineate clearly. We're talking about that the participants, because of their sensitive nature of what they do, ought not be gambling on sports.